There's something I do that I learned the hard way with Clear Sales Message to get to the truth of the matter in terms of creating messaging that works, and that is what we're covering in today's episode 709 of the Daily Sales Message podcast, where every single day I share a piece of simple and actionable advice that's designed to help you feel more confident and sell more stuff too. Now, in the early days of Clear Sales Message, I would get people into a room together from a business and ask them questions about the business. So what do you do and how do you do it, and why should people choose you, and so on and so forth, trying to build the messaging together, the arguments and the questions and so forth. And then I realized that in a group, people tend to agree with one another, and I'm going to say lie, but I don't think nobody means this in like a really harsh way, but they lie and they pretend to know things that perhaps they don't know because they don't want to look stupid in front of their peers and in front of their superiors. And I learned that very quickly. So since that day when it dawned on me that was happening, I now silo people off individually. So when I work with a company, I've just worked with one in particular, I've had 18 different single phone calls or Zoom calls with people asking them questions about the same business. And that's because rather than one big session with everybody, which would be more efficient from a time point of view, but it wouldn't get me what I want, because I know that one-on-one, people are extremely honest and extremely candid. You can kind of catch them off guard, as it were, and you get the answers that you really want. Now, this isn't for me to tell on anybody or anything like that, but it's for me to get the real truth, the inside scoop, without people pretending to know things and protect themselves and covered in their ego. I couldn't care less. I just need to know the truth. So splitting people up, siloing them off, speaking to them separately, that works very well for me. So if you're looking at doing your own messaging and you're asking people questions, and maybe it's your own team, for example, don't ask them all together as a group, because you get a very different answer versus in siloing them off individually and asking them one-on-one. People tend to give you a lot more one-on-one than they do in a group. And that's the moral of the story for today, children. Right, that's it for this episode of the podcast. Tomorrow, episode 710, how to sell to people who don't have a budget. How to sell to people who don't have a budget. That's what we're covering in tomorrow's episode. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please hit the like, subscribe, share button, comment below, interact with the podcast in any way you can. It just helps us to reach more people with our practical and free sales tips, strategies, and advice. Right, that's it for this one. Thank you for listening or watching all the way to the end. I'll catch you tomorrow for another exciting edition of the Daily Sales Message.